What is up, chat? Welcome to Jurassic Park. Happy Halloween, everyone. Store bought, perfect timing. Hello, hello. Yeah, so I hope we're gonna have a good one today. I didn't test this as much as I maybe should have. But as you can see, I am Dennis Nedry from Jurassic Park, stealing all of your dinosaur embryos in my Barbasol can. Um, which conveniently, if you didn't know, the hollow at the bottom, this fits exactly one uh, adult beverage if you are of age at any Halloween party. So, cheers. Jurassic Park is quite special to me. Um, it is my second favorite movie of all time, and I get to talk about it usually during my entomology classes when I'm teaching my students. Particularly because at the very beginning, they're talking about insects in amber. Does it taste like a clean shave? Uh, Not gonna lie, the first one did. But I used this at a Halloween party last weekend. Um, so it's been totally cleaned out since then. I did my best to clean it out before that, but it did taste a little sudsy last weekend. Um, but we also had our work costume contest slash chili cook off today. So I've been rocking this since 7:30 this morning when I got into work. Um, Unfortunately, did not place at the chili cook off. They only acknowledged first place, so I guess I should say I didn't win the chili cook off. But it being my first one here at the new job, uh, playing the field a little bit, just seeing what everyone else brought. So I have a better idea now of what to potentially do in the future to up our chances of bringing home the sombrero trophy. So, anyway, Jurassic Park starts off, and I contest that it is a bug movie because none of the movie plot would have happened without that mosquito in the amber. Logan, it is a real Barbasol can, but I cut the bottom off. I sprayed everything out of it, and now we can drink out of it. So it is a real Barbasol can. But that thing really helps make the costume because apparently other people, I know not me, but other people haven't seen Jurassic Park in a long time. And they're like, "Oh, Raincoat, are you like the kid from It?" And I'm like, "Come on, guys, there's this and there's this and then I pull this out of the pocket and they go, "Oh, okay, I get it." Um at least among normies. So like at the Halloween party last weekend, I had to do a lot of explaining about my costume. But today at work, bunch of nerds knew exactly what I was going for. So I'm happy with that. Who that? Uh uh I missed it. I missed the follow. Allow me to pull the list up. Here. Dashboard. Aha, Violet Violence. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. And happy Halloween. You didn't say the magic word. Ah, 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 ah. So yes, anyway, Jurassic Park, bug movie. And um, the reason that I usually get to talk about this during my entomology classes is because the mosquito or the fly that they use in the amber uh, doesn't really work. So the first time they show the mosquito, um, it is one a male. So male mosquitoes don't feed on blood, and you can tell it's a male because it has the big fluffy palps or and the big fluffy antennae. So one, it's a male, doesn't feed on blood, so there's no dino DNA in there. Two, it had a very, very long down curved proboscis, and that is a characteristic trait of a genus called Toxorhynchites, which are the elephant mosquitoes. They are the largest mosquitoes in the US, at least. Um, and none of them actually feed on blood because the larvae are predatory and get all of the protein that they need to reproduce and everything in the larval stage. So not only is it a male, it's a male of a genus of mosquito that doesn't even feed on blood. Then, after they explain, like, oh, the dino DNA, and they start drilling down into the thing, it switches from a mosquito to a crane fly. And crane flies are closely related, but again, not a type of fly that will actually feed on blood. But despite that inaccuracy, it is still my second favorite movie of all time. I do contest that it is a bug movie. I contest that the first one, at the very least, is an excellent Halloween movie. So I borrowed a couple of things from work today, and we have a rather large amber collection. So, uh, we're going to look through some stuff today. Ophelia, I asked. I specifically asked because I felt yesterday as I was getting like what I wanted to look at tonight. I felt like the Louvre bandits walking out with like so much precious stuff. I was like, someone's gonna see me, and even though I asked my boss, I'm gonna get in trouble somehow. But no, I definitely did ask about this. So we have, I would say, a lot of amber here. I mean, we got baggies, we got giant chunks, we got all kinds of good stuff. So, what I'm hoping that we can do is just look at some cool amber specimens. Tortilla, hello. Molly, hello, hello. Um, so I'm hoping that we can just look at some amber specimens. I am slightly concerned now about the reflection from the light on the specimen blocking us actually being able to see into the specimen. But we'll figure that out in just a minute. See if that works at all. Happy Halloween, Donkus. How long does it take to not be itchy after getting kicked at? Ooh. I would grab some duct tape and kind of just stick it over the parts where you're itchy so you can get the hairs out. And then wash your hands really well. It'll go away in a couple hours. Sand them down. Cut your hand off. Yeah, close enough. Close enough. Um, yeah, so I have a lot of different stuff that we can go through. Um, Again, I didn't I didn't really test this before, so we're gonna see if it works. But without further ado, let's switch on over. We're doing live. Thank you, Nicole. I am in fact a costume repeater, but most of you didn't see it, and the people at work certainly hadn't seen this yet. So thanks, Tortilla. Rocksters, Nicole, have fun at work. 3 4 hours of work left for something about semi lurking. It's responsible, Wario. It is indeed Tortilla. No beer. It's orange water at the moment, but this does in fact fit one beer in it. All right, let's test this out. See what we can make happen here. Bye, Nicole. So, I guess maybe a good place to start. What is amber, and how does it differ from copal, which we will also take a look at later? Um, they're kind of two ends of the same spectrum. So, tortilla, yes, it is sap. Um, but it is you can have different ages of sap. And I learned this recently since I do oversee the amber collection a little bit as well. Oh, we can see the bug great. That's actually awesome. Very sick. Hello, Roach. Happy day after Halloween for you. Um, Tree sap can hold insects, uh, and it can be very, very fresh, meaning, insects still get trapped in tree sap today. Um, but after it hardens, it goes through this kind of spectrum of copal to amber. And like I said, they are the same thing, but copal, from what I understand, is like unripened amber, essentially. Like it hasn't aged that long yet. It can be a little bit more crumbly. It doesn't shine up as nicely. It'll often fall into pieces if you try to make them nice and look like this. Um, but that doesn't mean that it's not old. What I was reading yesterday, and I had to do a lot of reading on this because I don't know anything, or I've never officially worked with insect fossil specimens before. So I was doing a little bit of googling, and usually the cutoff for what we will classify as amber versus what we call copal is about 10 million years. So this stuff that we have could be like 8 million years old, but still be copal versus amber. Um, so that's the difference in that we have definite amber here, but then this big piece that has like dozens, if not hundreds, of inclusions. So this is our big one that we'll take a look at the end. This is copal. This is from Panama, and it's generally considered that the all of the copal, or all of the resin like this that you get from Panama, none of it is older. than 10 million years. So that one is definitely copal, but a lot of these other ones are confirmed amber. And there's also different places that you can get amber. Some of the most famous and like the generally best preserved stuff is Burmese amber. But you can get it from Burma, but you can also get it from, or sorry, not Burmese amber. Baltic amber is generally the most common, at least, which is European northwest Europe ish. Then you do have Burmese amber, which is from formerly Burma, but now Myanmar. That's another one. It all ages there about at about 100 million years old, so definitely past our 10 million year thing. And Burmese amber is actually the most common amber that you get that has insect inclusions in it, because that 100 million year mark is after insects have had evolved. A lot of the Baltic stuff is way old and even predates insects. So you get really weird plants and stuff in there, but not much else. Burmese amber is like what the bug people know and work with a lot. There is amber deposits in Canada. There are amber deposits in North Carolina that I'm aware of. Um, but then Dominican amber from like the Dominican Republic is kind of a middle ground. It is definitely younger than a lot of this other stuff, but younger than 100 million years ago is, still, still pretty old. Um, and so any of these things can have insect inclusions in them. An inclusion, when we're talking about amber, is anything inside of the amber, right? It could be a plant seed, it could be insect material, it could be any of those sorts of things. An inclusion is just anything inside of the amber. But obviously, we are focused on the insect inclusions for what we're going to be looking at. There might be some other stuff. I didn't fully look. Um, Thanks, unknown. What's up? Happy Halloween. Dino toenail. You got a feet thing, Tortilla? So this first one, very anti feet. Okay, if you say so. So this first one that we have here is actually Baltic amber. So this is that really old stuff from North Europe, and it's not as common to have insect inclusions in this type of amber. So what we're seeing here is actually pretty cool, pretty good find. Um, and again, I will say I borrowed all of this from work. All of this stuff is going to go back realistically tomorrow because it makes me scared to have it in the house. um, is that we did this the other day, and I kind of feel like that's less distracting. Yeah, I kind of like that. Um, what if I get robbed of all my work amber? Uh, Good thing this is Florida. Um, but depending how late we stay, I honestly might take it back tonight. Um, I can't imagine it. We got a lot of specimens. I mean, we have cabinets and cabinets of this stuff. So I guess I could talk about where we got all of this. We had a former director who then retired and became one of our research associates. That he had a business selling. Um, he was really into fossils, so he had this business selling pieces of amber. So he would go and buy raw amber, just like the unpolished rock. I didn't bring any raw amber home, um, but he would go buy all of those pieces, polish them, see if there was anything in them, and then work with other entomologists in the field to Tortilla. He's dead, unfortunately. So I was getting there. He did all this stuff, polishing, had massive, massive boxes of this stuff, and then when he passed, we got it for the collection. So we do have a pretty healthy amber collection at work. This is certainly just a very, very small part of it. Um, and there's definitely lots more to go through. Um, there's also a lot of unprocessed material still. So I have not worked with amber much before, but I want to learn how to do this. Basically, how to take it from the normal rock to like these nice shiny graded pieces. Um, you do apparently just take like sandpaper and polish them like that. So there's a process. You can use different abrasives and chemicals and whatnot. And apparently, it's like this whole other world of things. So it'll be a thing that I have to learn eventually, but not at the moment. Right now, I just grabbed some of the nice stuff, and that might be something that we could do on a future stream. Uh, Maybe. So this first one is Baltic Amber, and we've been looking at it for a little while now. This is a fly. So, not fully Jurassic Park fly, because this is a fungus gnat or a mycetophilid. You're gonna have to bear with me while I make some of these adjustments here again to make sure everything's in focus. Not that way. We go out. So we were looking at the abdomen before, basically straight back, but now we've got a much nicer side profile. Um, a lot of these insects will have family level names on them because insects evolved a very, very long time ago. So even if this was the Burmese amber, um, that was 100 million years ago, ground beetles were evolved like 250 million years ago. So there's a lot of these families that we still know and recognize today have existed long before we were around, but the species are different. I'm also not a fly person, so I couldn't tell you what this is, but these are all labeled, and we're just gonna trust them unless I see something that's blatantly incorrect. But my cetaphility seems okay for this one. Um, they are like dark wing, or not that dark wings are skyarids. My cetaphilids are fungus gnats of certain sorts, so similar to things that you find that cause to be a pain in the butt in your houseplants. But you can see some of the things that we would use to make that identification. We've talked about the different wing vein systems before, and how the different where they come off of the wing has different names and the different combinations of things like that. So you can see here that wing vein pattern. And mycetophilids are related to mosquitoes. So this is why I kind of picked this one. It was about as accurate as the movie in terms of close relationships. So this is another what we would call nematosaurin fly or a longhorned fly. The antennae are not that long, but they do have a decent amount of segments. Alfelta, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Seems absolutely unknown. I feel you. But you can see up here that the antennae, they're not that long, but they do have enough segments for what we would call nematosera. And some of the other bits and pieces over in here are either cracks or air bubbles. So not all of the pieces are going to be super perfect. If you can see, there's actually a really large fissure here behind the fly. So that's probably an air bubble when it was getting included into this thing. So the fly was moving around, it was respirating and everything like that, and it likely kind of blew a bubble as it was getting stuck in the sap. And so the only way to remove that at this point would be to like grind it down and get rid of it that way. But of course, you don't want to grind away too much of the specimen because you can break them and things like that. So we're going to be careful. We're going to just see what we can see. And like I said, I don't have any way of improving any of this amber at the moment. So if something's fuzzy or we can't quite get a good look at it, that's that. But next, we've got a little beetle. This doesn't say which what am I looking for? Which deposit that this was from. So I don't know if this one is Baltic or Burmese or what. But you can see this one has bubbles in it. If we go up to the surface here, you can see there's more bubbles starting to form on here. And obviously this is hard. It's a rock, basically, at this point. So those are pockmarks and things like that that, again, could probably be buffed out if we so chose. But this is decent. We've got a pretty clear view of the insect. And this is not a group that we have covered in the pre-chat chats section yet. So you guys probably wouldn't recognize melirids. But these are soft wing flower beetles. Usually pretty compact. The antennae aren't that long. But you can see here, even in the amber, there's enough definition with the tarsi that we could count and use that for identification. And so when people are working on amber to like try and identify it, see what's in it, they will still use modern identification keys because these families evolved a really long time ago, but they've generally maintained a lot of these characters through the past several million years. And so this absolutely looks like a melirid. This is, you give this to any beetle taxonomist, you'd be able to tell them, they'd be able to tell you exactly what it was. And from this side here, Allison, hello. Dr. Spooky has let you leave the house again. But from back here, you can see one of the palps coming out from under the head. You can see one of the antennae coming out kind of over the back. And if we go all the way in, there's still eye visible. So just right here, in line with that piece, you can see the eye. You can still see the little facets on there that we've talked about when we've been talking about insect eyes. So I always think this stuff is really cool. Like, I haven't done a ton of work with Amber. Uh, she's gonna hate this. Who's gonna hate this? Spooky. Thanks, Allison. I I was saying earlier, I borrowed them from work. Oh, ooh, she is gonna hate that. Thank you, Tortilla. Thank you for gifting the sub to Tarantalizer. Um, but yeah, little nice little Malirian here. Doctor Spooky punching the air. And down here, you can see there's other little bits and bobs too. Um, I can't tell if that's a little piece of a plant or whatever that's in here. It's too far up. There we go. Back down to that. So that little piece over there kind of looks like a stick or a piece of a plant to me. Bug toenail. Same species of this guy alive today. Probably not the same species, Molly. I'm not going to pretend that I know about like fossil species identification. There are some where we get new fossils where they are the same species and you can definitely match them up to a modern thing. This one is similar enough to tell the family, and maybe if you were a specialist on that family, you could get a genus maybe. But a lot of the time with insect fossils and naming stuff at that point, you're like, oh yeah, okay, proto, like if it was a ground beetle, but it kind of looked like the genus Carabus, you would probably end up naming it something like proto Carabus, meaning like earlier Carabus, or something like that. So there is a whole world of insect taxonomy of like naming fossil species and describing fossil species and even genera and even like fossil families and subfamilies, but that is completely beyond my area of expertise. So I won't I won't pretend, and I certainly don't want to make any statements that I am not comfortable with on that. So I would say probably not the same species, but who knows? Stearns, Adarans, Electrodeans, Nickid, Lyodid. Micromalthid is crazy. Skirted, that's sick. I didn't look through these before. So I'm figuring out what we've got as we both do. Sleepy Bunny, hello. Happy Halloween. It's a nice dark piece. I'm going to bring these two out, even though I think it'll be fun to look at larger specimens as we keep going. But for those of you that were here on Wednesday for pre-chat chats, this is one of the families that we actually looked at during pre-chat chats. So these should be relatively familiar, at least something that you've heard of before. This is a Latridiid, or one of those minute brown scavenger beetles. So nice and tiny. And this one has a lot of cracking, or like an air pocket around the actual beetle itself. Allison, yeah, we hit it. We hit it the other day. I sent you the video. Um, it is very Jurassic Park. So I asked my boss. I said this at the beginning of chat. I do want to make it very clear. I am returning this. But I was like, hey, can I take some amber? And he said, for what? And I said, well, as you know, I do those live stream things occasionally, and my costume is Halloween related. Or, jeez, my Halloween costume is Jurassic Park related, and I would like to do a stream. Thank you guys. Thank you for clapping. I started a little bit later than I wanted to because I came in and I went, I have to vacuum up all the confetti. After we were done Wednesday night, I just kind of went to bed, and then I had a long day yesterday too that I wasn't able to get to it because I had to make my chili for the chili cook-off. So I came in tonight and I was like, oh, yeah, I did that, didn't I? So I had to vacuum it up quick before we started. But yeah, if you were here Wednesday pre-chat chats, this is one of those minute brown scavenger beetles. And you can see that there's like uh this white film around the entirety of the insect, and that's going to just be an air bubble. So if any of you have ever messed around with pouring resin, and you get those little air bubbles around stuff that you're putting in resin, it happens to nature too. Um, Thank you, Heart of Things. Happy Halloween. Is it like Kevin's chili? Space Camp, I was so nervous. I was so scared about dropping it just because of that. As you should. I said earlier, people are like 50-50 on whether or not they get this costume. And they're like, oh, I haven't seen Jurassic Park in a while. And I was like, oh, do people not watch Jurassic Park like once a month? At least? Uh, does nature not know about holding a vibrator in the mold to shake out the bubbles? You know, good comms, but probably not. Heart of Things, it's my second favorite movie. So it's I know not everybody watches it that frequently, but like they're like, "Oh, I haven't seen that movie in years." And I was like, "Years? Years is crazy." What you do for resin bubbles? Yeah, Tortilla, it works. It definitely works. My friend Ethan, the one who made me the beetle penis earrings, um, he's been working on some resin stuff, and he also came to that conclusion to work on that. So, Space Camp, yeah, Fantastic Mr. Fox is my favorite. J7, what's up? Hello, welcome in. Happy Halloween. Oh, the movie's great. Wes Anderson, phenomenal job on that one. But that's what the follower sound that that it makes is from Fantastic Mr. Fox. What is the brand group that springtails are sold in? Why does it smell like poop when it broke? It's clay. Usually, it depends on the springtail. Actually, a lot of them. Thanks. Um, a lot of them are sold in clay or with charcoal. Oh no, J7, that was all me. Um, but yeah, so the ones you probably got, Ophelia, were most likely in clay, and for a, but it stank. Yeah, I don't know. I don't keep any of the ones that you keep on clay, so maybe it gets stinky. I don't know. Yeah, maybe you bought poop. Wouldn't that be funny? So these two pieces, the one that we're looking at right now, are a nice little guy in there. And if we zoom out, you can kind of see like the full size of the piece. It's just sitting on some like sticky tack, like stuff to hold up a poster, so I can position the rock or the piece in kind of whatever position we need to be able to best see the beetle. Otherwise, we'd be holding them and you'd be seeing my fingers and whatnot the whole time. But these two are these say Dominican Republic amber, and one of the characteristics of Dominican amber, again from my very little amber experience, is that it actually can be quite a bit darker than some of the other ambers. So this next piece is another Latradiad, and let me find it. I think that's it. Oof. Yeah. So this is what I was saying earlier about the glare. 3 watch streak. Thanks for coming to hang out, J7. Um, yeah, this is the part that I was worried about with the glare. Uh, that that blob right there is the beetle. Um, and as we were looking at, this is a much darker piece of amber than the other ones. So even just seeing them side by side, you can see that this one's a lot darker. But where the insect is, so like where the inclusion is located, um, makes it hard to see from this angle. And again, and with this particular set, tortilla, I absolutely thought of that. We can try it. It didn't work how I was hoping it would. Uh, One, I'm worried about keeping the thing on. I'm worried about keeping the thing on the insect. I'm also worried about flash banging too much. It's quite bright. And I was also concerned that this would happen where the white balance would kind of take it away. So I don't know that is going to help us that much. However, that is how people um, mostly look at amber. Because of the reflection, it's easier to get the light uh, transmitted through. So we can try that on maybe a slightly bigger piece, because I was also, trying to get that one on there. Maybe if we get one that has a clearer inclusion, we can see it again. Okay, so these are Adarids, which is another uh, family that we haven't gotten to yet. But in this one little baggie, there are seven pieces. So let's see if any of them would maybe work with the underlight. This one's pretty good, I think, in terms of. So these chat. Trying to use rock gambling stream. Yeah, it's pretty cool, Donkus. But do you guys see this stuff here? Like this white stuff that's on this side? Those are air bubbles. So this stone was ground away, and they were hitting the air bubbles because these are like pocked a little bit. They go in. So they hit those air bubbles, and that's why they have that going on there. And you can even see some of like the surface scratching for when this was getting polished. But let's try the phone thing. See how that works. Oh, good. I'm glad, Nikki. I figured people would think it's kind of cool, but again, I wasn't sure how well it would work, because I didn't have time to test the lighting situation. Phone from the side. White paper over flash. Okay, do I have? Does Evan own white paper that is readily available to him? What if I ripped up this piece of instructions from when I put my desk together? Surely that will help our current situation. You got a piece with lots of white. I hope not, Tortilla. I hope I don't have to. I don't hate that. It didn't quite do what I was hoping it would, but I do feel like it's less aggressive. Better, pretty. Okay, less aggro. Okay, we can roll with this for a little bit. See what we can see. Now where is this beetle? There's the beetle. Space camp. Space camp's not gonna like this. Y'all want to see a fossilized bug penis? Yeah, we have beautiful. I didn't know Space Camp. I haven't looked at this stuff yet. How was I to know that its 10 plus million year old genitalia was out? Little riff riff. Yeah, it's all part of the costume. All part of the costume. Um, so let's see. Okay, does it make it any better that I think this is a female, and I think this is maybe ovipositor tube? That was not me this time. Adult Beans. Welcome in. Thank you for the follow. Happy Halloween. Let me just turn this and see if I can tell if it's a male or female or not. I lost the bug. There's the bug. Nope. I was right the first time. It's pee pee. It's pee pee. Really well defined. Man, that's cool. That's cool as shit. Sorry about that, but that's pretty neat. Um, there's also something that I noticed as I was just trying to get that in focus. Really cool impression here. Adult Beans. This is all from the Dominican. Um, these next couple pieces that we have here are all Dominican amber that all have adarids in them, which is a type of beetle. Homie died trying to do what he loved. Yeah. Uh, again, I think so. This is definitely plant impression of some sort. I don't know if it's ferns specifically. Um, but yeah, you can kind of see how that matrix is folded out and like bubbled. Do I have an age on these? No, I do not. Um, I don't know if you were here yet at the beginning, but we're going to look at some copal later, which is uh, not quite fossilized tree sap with insects in it. And it's a range because copal can be like 300 years old, or it can be anywhere up to 10 million years old. The general consensus from what I found about being labeled as amber is that it's fossilized sap from at least 10 million years ago. Um, I have no way of aging this stuff myself. It was all labeled as amber, and we also had different boxes that were labeled as copal. So I'm imagining that the guy that we got this stuff from at the museum had been aging it at some capacity as he was getting it. So I'm gonna assume we hit 10 million on all of these at least, but I truthfully don't know. Ooh, We got our first multiple inclusion. So this one actually has a couple of different insects in it. Well, one, that's a pretty nice beetle there. And don't worry, those are back legs that are together. That's not a it's not another one already at least. So yeah, I think this is an Adarid. So I think that was this one that we're looking at right now is the main inclusion, like the one that this was sorted to. But then if we flip it back over, um, you can see a couple of other things too. So that one's a fly. Ancestors of the guys that you study now. No. These ones, so the oldest ground beetle fossil is from about 250 million years ago. It's mid Jurassic. So the group that I study predates all of this amber. And the ground beetles are generally considered to be one of the more primitive uh, beetle groups. So they had been around for a long time before Adarids ever showed up. So none yet. I did see a couple of specimens on when I was going through these cabinets that said Carabity on them, but I did not have a chance to look because they weren't like the best specimens. So I grabbed ones that I thought would be better to show off on stream, and then when I eventually get to start working more with our fossil collection, um, I'll hopefully be able to take a better look at some of those fossil carabids. Yeah, that guy's grandparents. Thank you, Tortilla, as always. This is another cool one. Obviously, not what they were meaning to show off with this one, but I think the bubbles in this is pretty cool. You can see the different layers as I like stream or as I focus up and down through the. Has anyone found some boinking in any of these? Surely, I assure you that has happened. Um, it's had to have like statistically, I it definitely has. Any that I have seen, no, but as I've been saying, I haven't seen that much amber, so I might not be the best source on it. And here's a better look from this side at those little resin pockets. So like these were the air bubbles that got sanded down. And you can see that's what they look like there. But the beetle on this one, just there it is. It's right below the air bubbles. Sorry for all the shaky. This might be another one that's just kind of tricky to see from this angle. You can kind of see it over there. It's not the best view that we've had of one all day, but let's bring that, and we can zoom, zoom, zoom. Yeah, the other way. There it is. Okay, that's a decent view. Ominous shadow. Trapped in amber. Oh, yep. That's Amber Boinkin. There we go. Tortilla had that on deck and ready to go. I remember the bugs have been replaced by bubbles like just hollow bug-shaped impressions. That just happens sometimes. It shouldn't. The way that the fossilization process for amber works, the exoskeleton on the insect doesn't break down very easily, which is why we can still have pinned insect specimens. So once it's coated in the resin, it shouldn't be too bad. It shouldn't have any good way to release like that. World Bird Sanctuary, thank you very much for the raid. Welcome in, Raiders, and happy Halloween. My name is Evan. I am an entomologist, and today we are living out our Jurassic Park Halloween special. I have a bunch of amber specimens that I borrowed from the museum that I work at, and so we're just taking a look through the microscope at some of the beetles that we have here, and other stuff. It's not just beetles that I pulled today. I tried to get a little bit of more diversity, but you can see this outline here. Tortilla catching strays. Donkus, no. I walked out with them in a tote bag. It's different. But thank you again for the raid, World Bird Sanctuary. We appreciate it. Hope you guys like bugs and birds. All right, let's see. What does our next one look like? Ooh. That's a crack. Ooh. That's a big bug. Kelsey, it's fine. Or we'll take bug propaganda in any form, whether it's forced or not. Cheers, Tortilla. Oh no, my Barbasol, it's empty. What do we do? Reload. This one, already pretty neat. We have spent quite a while, at least on the pre-Chat Chats Wednesday streams, talking about tarsal formulas and how you can count the number of segments on the feet of the insect to help with identification. And sometimes those structures are modified. And oftentimes with insects that are on plants, they have lobed tarsi. They've got these big, puffy segments under them. And and it helps them to just kind of have more traction as they hold on to plants. And this is an Adarid, which is an ant-like flower beetle. And you can see on this hind leg that's sticking down towards kind of right under me here, that is a lobed tarsus that you can see. So at the very end, you have the claws, and then you have the little lobe, and then you have the other tarsi leading up to the rest of the leg. So that's pretty cool. And unfortunately, if I turn this to try to see the top of the beetle, we've got cracks all around. So not much more we can do with this one, I don't think. Allow me to first, I've been getting text messages, and I've noticed it vibrating the amber. So we'll get rid of that we'll turn me on airplane mode there for a second. It's not hidden. It's not hidden. It's actually big and pretty obvious. Oh no, what is that? The Barbasol emote? I love it. The other thing that I'm going to do is I am going to use some of this sticky putty to attach this paper to my phone, so I don't have to keep worrying about our diffuser, our high-tech industrial diffuser. I don't want it to keep falling off of the phone. So I'm just going to use these sticky putty corners and stick it down. High tech, y'all. Look at that. Innovation. Boom. Okay. Next guy, we're getting down. We're getting smaller pieces as we continue in this bag. Where's this beetle at? Oh, right on the edge again. Awesome. Except not really that awesome. That is a cool view. This might be the best view we've had. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not for you. Let's move it down. There we go. So this one's pretty neat. It's the wrong way. Focus that direction. You have a really nice view of the antenna here. It does look like a sunset. Again, these things, just like regular bugs, you can count the antennal segments, you can count the palps. But really neat on this one, if I can just very slowly back out. You can see the abdominal ventриtes. So you can actually see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish visible abdominal segments. So that's a pretty cool view, even though it's right on the edge of the amber. Most of this one doesn't have too much in it, but right here on the edge, pretty cool view and cool angle on this beetle. Unfortunately, a lot of the time, when you have these amber specimens, you obviously don't get to choose where the specimen is in the thing. So when you're polishing them, sometimes you get it like this, where it's like, oh, that specimen's right on the edge. Or, it could be dead center, but that's a lot rarer, generally, how you've been, polishing things down. So, right on the edge, maybe not the best view of it, but I do think that was a pretty cool one that we were able to find there. Another small piece. Let's see what we got. Arguably, even better. Wow. That's so impressive. Let me shift over a bit. More in focus for you guys. Damn. You can see the hairs on the antenna. That's so insane to me. Like, if you get it just right on those like low antennal segments there, you can see the CD. I have a hard time seeing the CD on live on like specimens from now sometimes. It Man, science is cool as shit. I know that's like why we're here and everything, and a thing we are enjoying together at the moment, but like it's crazy to think about the fact that you are still able to see hairs on a beetle that's over 10 million years old. Isn't that the sickest shit you've ever heard in your life, chat? That's so awesome. Wow, wow, wow. I don't. It's not coming through super well. Nature is heckin' cool. It's not coming through super well. Again, we're maxed out on the zoom right now, but I can see that there are CD on the elytra as well. Um, wow, that's phenomenal. I was gonna say, oh, let me take a picture. My phone is the light. I can't take a picture right now. Oop, flashbang. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. All right. Let's. We've seen Adarids now. What else we got? Lyotids. That's not that exciting. Ooh. Mordellas. This could be good. Have to make sure everything gets back into its little baggies. I don't want to be mixing up identifications. I certainly don't want to be mixing up Baltic versus Dominican versus Burmese amber, so just have to bit of a slow process keeping it all separated, but we need to. Okay, more Delids. This should be interesting. Let me do a rough look before we pick a piece. See if there's one that stands out. Well, that shows more Delids for sure. Don't want to put in the drug bag. Yeah, you know me, old Druggo Evan. That's got to be the spine too. Not the best. Okay, well, that did not give me nearly as much information as I hoped. Um, I was hoping that I would be able to see a little bit more while doing it that way, but I couldn't, so let's just try it with the transmitted light instead. This one's really dark. Okay. That's something. That do be something there, chat. So Mordelids are called tumbling flower beetles, and they're sort of shaped like a triangle. They're very wide on top, like their shoulders are extra wide, but they're pretty skinny underneath. But one of the things, and this is another family that we have not covered during pre-chat chats lessons yet, so you haven't missed this. We just haven't talked about it yet. Um, their defining character is that their last abdominal segment underneath is prolonged into like a spike. So if we can move this over just a bit, we can zoom in some more. So that's what I'm talking about. This is the underside of the beetle facing up. And so the abdomen is curving up like this. But that bottom segment is always outpoked into a spike. I don't fully know what it does on Mordelids. But even the ones today all still have that spike, and it's one of the easiest families to identify once you have like a search image for that, because nothing else is really this shape. Um, what the fuck are you? Boo! What the hell is that? I have no idea what that thing is. Y'all seeing this? This like weird fuzzy thing that's right on top of the beetle. I can see eyes, I can see antennae, I can see legs. So like, it's a bug. Yes, tortilla, yes. But this is a double inclusion, except your boy doesn't know what this other thing is. You can sort of see now the antenna are in focus and the eyes just a little bit. It's real weird. I don't know if it's like a larva or if it's part of something. Let me see if a different angle helps. Oh shit! You know what? That's a springtail. That is ridiculous. Let me. Will this one help? Nope, I think that makes it worse. That's really neat. So, I don't know how to get it. I don't know how to get the light better for this. Um, but up at the front, you have the antenna, you have the eyes, but at the back end, you have these two long structures that go out into like a little fork. That's the furcula. So this is, um, yes, tortilla, yes. But even more specifically, this looks like a tomacerid to me. Just it's probably not this specifically, but like compare that to the shadow that you're seeing. I can see it a little bit better than what's coming through on the stream. And yeah, that little furcula, that little compound piece at the end, that's the spring tail. That is the tail that does the springing. It's usually folded under, but I guess while this one was, maybe this guy hopped in and got stuck. But you can see the ends there kind of split, but then towards the base it's connected. And the reason that they do that is it spreads out the force for when they're jumping. So they go whoosh and like use those two fingers to spread the force out so they can get more power to like jump off of the ground that way. So that's pretty cool that you can see the furcula. And then if we kind of come forward a little bit more, you can see the fuzzies on the body. And then the antennae, which are almost certainly broken. But those really stiff bristles really give me the vibe of the Pogononephelus that I linked, the most recent bug guide link that I just posted. Really reminds me of this thing. So that is super cool. Double inclusion that we were not expecting. And a completely different order. So like obviously the people are going to care about the, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but a lot of people are going to care about the beetle, but maybe not so much about the springtail. But that is a very cool secondary inclusion. What do we got here? Who is this one? Another kind of cool one where you get some neat detail. Um, Again, tarsi that you can definitely count, but then you also have the tibial spurs. So right at the edge of that long segment, there are those two spines that are coming off it. Those are called tibial spurs, and most insects will have something there. But usually the tarsus is laying like in line with them. So it can be hard to see a lot of the time on specimens that I've showed you before. But this one, it's nice and preserved and sticking straight out as it has been for apparently several million years. This one is another more delid. Flashbang on that one. This smaller piece. Oh, that's outstanding. This is another multi-inclusion. That out of the way. So that one is a lot more. Well, there's two things in here. One, there's a fly above it. Another little mycetophagid mosquito looking thing. But then you have the beetle there. And again, that spike that's going over to the right hand side is the underside of the abdomen. So those legs that are tucked back, or they're tucked forward, since those are the hind legs. And this one is just another pretty nice example. There's a lot of other good stuff in here, but this one shows that spine from the last abdominal segment really really nicely. And there's another something in here. Let's see if flipping it helps. Oh, that's cool. That's fucking sick again. Uh, so y'all are. What is that? Well, we've got two more things here. On the right, the farther right of the screen right now, that's a mite. So that is a fossilized arachnid. And the one that we are looking at front and center is a featherwing beetle. So it's a teleid, one of those very very small beetles that their wings don't have the full membranes. They just have like the feathery pieces of it. Because they're so small, they're able to flow through air currents and fly without having that full membrane of wing like most insects do. And so you can see sticking out right here, like under my shoulder, in the face cam, those are the wings. Those like very wispy, feathery pieces. Those are, as the name suggests, the feather wings of the feather winged beetle. And then over there, again, on the right hand side, this is a mite. So our first arachnid. This is as far in as I can get on it. Um, but there are three very obvious legs, and then the last set of legs are the ones going forward. So arachnids have 8 legs. You can see the 3 on the sides very clearly, and then those slightly longer ones going forward. This is at max zoom, so we can't unfortunately get any closer than this. But to give you a sense of like how small of a thing we're looking at, this is zoomed all the way out on this piece of amber. So like this is how big it is, and you can see it compared to the flashlight piece on my phone. So yeah, little guy is kind of putting it lightly, but we were able to zoom all the way in and see some of this other stuff that's included in this piece of amber. So that's pretty neat. This Mordelid bag is better than I thought it was. So we can put that one back. Did we see this one already? Yes, we saw that one. We saw this one. And then the big one. I don't know how much was super visible in here. Lots of stuff actually. Okay, so that's the Mordelid. That's what this was marked for. But here what do we got, chat? You tell me. I'll at least say it's a new group for the stream tonight. We have not seen this yet. Oh, wrong way. Zoom out. Maybe give you a better look at it. Those wings. Yes, wings and legs, appendages. It's a bug. Well, can we be more specific? Not a mosquito. Also not culicids, which are still mosquitoes. Insect, can you? I can. I sort of know what it is. Long wingies, yes. But how many? How many wingies? At least one every wings. Yeah. At least two is correct. But the answer is not two. We have our first wasps here. So first of all, they have that like really pinched in waist that you expect from a wasp. But also here, it's getting funky. Sorry about that. Do you not see? Yeah, Molly. I'm explaining that in just a second here. Let me just get them slightly more over on screen there. So you don't see a pinched waist? How about now? So it comes in, then there's the abdomen. And Molly, yeah, it looks like there's two. It truly does. But what we're seeing from this side is that these are the two wings that are attached to one side of the body. You can also see how the front and the back wing, I'm pointing at my monitor here, so that's why I'm pointing up over that way. I don't really have a good way to do the cursor on the scope screen there. but these wings are still hooked together. And this is something that I was planning to talk about on Wednesday, but I didn't get around to yet. Uh, which are hamuli, which are these little hooks that connect the front and the hind wing of all ants, bees, and wasps. And so what that does, it hooks the front and the hind wing together, sort of like Velcro, and then they can flap their wings. Bird, thank you so much. Welcome in. Happy Halloween. How was your stream? I saw you were announcing bird lore, and I was sad that I missed it. But welcome in. Thank you for the raid. We are playing Jurassic Park. Looking at amber fossils right now. And we actually just got to our first Hymenopteran. So this is an ancient wasp. These hamuli that I was talking about, though, are these little hooks that connect the front and the hind wing so that when they flap their wings, both of them move in sync together. So it's like one big wing rather than having the four independent wings. So here, again, you can see that like pretty snatched waist. This is two wings, but all on the same side of the body. And then the head is also very non fly like. But here's another one right next to it. Like a full another specimen. Right here. Maybe this one gives you more wasp vibes. It definitely a little bit more clear in outline too, I think. Enraged Kangaroo, welcome in. We're looking at amber currently. Uh, Mostly beetles so far, but we actually found this one has a wasp in it. So that's what's on screen right now. This is a 10 million plus year old amber fossil that has insects stuck in it. And so that was the last piece I had in that bag. So we are going to move on to find some more treasures. Let's see. Skirtids, Onychids, Micromalphids. This is kind of crazy. Um, I have never seen a live specimen of this family in real life. Like, I haven't even seen the modern one. So let's. Oh no. Oh no. It's a hard view. Oh, that's not the specimen. What? Hold on. Hold on. Is that it? Wow. That's pretty sick. Okay. Let me see if we can get the goop to hold this one. So I thought we were looking at that big inclusion, and I was like, yeah, that feels pretty big to be a micromalphid. Um, these things are friggin' wild. Glacial, what's up? Welcome in. Happy Halloween. So this is certainly not the nicest fossil that, or the nicest specimen that we have. But these are called telephone pole borers, and they are some of the oldest evolved beetles. These are like some of the first beetles that exist. There's only one species worldwide, but there are a couple of fossil genera at some point. Again, probably this one. But take a look at this link to help you maybe orient a little bit better on this specimen. But these things are ridiculous in the way that they reproduce. Oh, thank you, Glacial. Only fitting, right? So these go through what is called hypermetamorphosis, meaning that they go through several drastically um, different like larval stages before they reproduce. I have to pull up the diagram and I'm going to try to explain it to you guys. But it's just like severely fucked up. Like, why would they do it this way? So, in some cases, not always, because they can apparently do this a bunch of different ways in terms of like how they reproduce. Don't want that there. Hello. This, yes. Oh, come on, ResearchGate. What are we doing? Yes, I'm human. Come on now. I just want to see the picture. Okay. So, Lily. Lily Cute Dumpling, thank you for the raid. Welcome in. Happy Halloween. How was your stream? We are playing Jurassic Park, obviously Halloween, so we gotta get up with the costume. But I borrowed a couple of amber specimens from work. So we are taking a peek through some of the stuff that we were able to find. And I am just getting into explaining this really crazy beetle. Thank you, Lily. Okay, so if they mate normally, like male and female pair up, they lay eggs, and that will hatch into a triungulin larva, which is a hypermobile kind that will go seeking uh, other hosts. Those can then molt into a normal larva, which will then turn into the pupa, go back to the female, and start this process over. Or it can turn into a pedogenic larvae, which is an adult that can still lay eggs, but it looks like a larva. Those will then lay a single egg, which will turn into a prepupa, which will then turn into the male. So they pair up, male and female, they pair up, they lay one type of larva. That molts and splits. Females will develop normally. No, males will develop normally. Females will stay larva form, lay another egg as a larva, and then go through the section. It's it's nuts. I think I posted this in the chats live. Let me. No, that doesn't work. Let me hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second. Let me see if I can pull it up. I am explaining it to you guys, and I don't fully understand it. Micromouths. Nothing. Okay, maybe I have not posted about it yet. Does this have it? Okay, this will show it to you. There you go. So that link has the life cycle, sort of. Um, it's quite ridiculous. It's worse than trying to explain bee relationships and how they're 75% related to their siblings. This thing is awful. Um, Mummy bug is worth the baby bug already pregnant. Yeah, kind of space camp. That's a bad common name. That too. That too. But in addition to just having this like absurd life cycle, they have these reduced elytra. They've got these very characteristic head shapes and antenna. Um, and you can, I say clearly, but you can kind of see that that like small reduced electral shape here on screen. And then if we get the head end more in view, the head is the part that's kind of crushed and doesn't quite look its best. But there are remnants of the antenna right here on the edge. To grab this and poke here. So right here on the edge of the amber specimen are some of the like disjointed antennal segments. You can see them there floating right at the very, very, very edge of the specimen. So very cool beetle. Very cool specimen. Again, I have not seen this family in person. Uh, I haven't seen the modern one. So the first thing that I've seen of these being a fossil is kind of ridiculous. But kind of neat. And unsurprisingly, that was the only thing in this box, in this little baggie. It was the only specimen that had that family in it. So that's pretty cool. Several words in the infographic that I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot to take in, even with the training, because the difference between like Patagenesis and Arena Toki versus Theolotoki, you lose the plot somewhere along the way. Skirtids, Hysterids will be cool. There's a big piece in here, so hopefully there's big beetle in it. That would be nice. All right, let's see what we got. Let's start with one of these smaller pieces. Just because I think finding the specimen would probably be easier. Oh, that's crazy. crazy, crazy beetle. Can you see the top? Humongous rare beetle. Well, this one's pretty small. Getting the silhouette's kind of interesting. I like how it silhouettes rather than, well, because obviously the light's coming from behind it, so it's creating that shadow. But it's interesting to see that on stream rather than the top down that we're used to getting. So this is a hysterid. Um, these are called clown beetles, and I don't really know why. Somebody's asked me that before, and I couldn't tell you. But these are, you to find a comparable one. Not a Heterion. Dendrophyline, maybe? No, not long enough. There we go. Platysoma. Look at that thing. There we go. Long boy. We have seen these before. Thank you, Tortilla. But even more specifically, something like this. So clown beetles are cool. They show up. They feed on like fly larvae and things like that in dead stuff a lot. But the ones that are elongate like this, like the one that I linked, feed under bark. So they have that cylindrical body form to be able to get into other insects' larval galleries or even adult galleries and chase them down and feed on them that way. But you can see on the front here, it has those big, like, toothed forearms, and it has that really nice antennal club off to the left hand side. So all very, very cool to see right now. And also, I know Tortilla's favorite, just the ability to count tarsal segments. The call is coming from inside the house. Yeah. I am not going to demod Tortilla. That's the craziest thing you've ever said, Space Camp. And you said Bugacy the other day. Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, that's the first hysterid. Let's see what other goods we have in this little baggie. Okay. That's another one of roughly the same thing. So we won't spend a ton of time peeking at that one since it's largely the same as the last one. Okay, now we've got some bigger pieces of amber. So hopefully... Okay, well, it's the same bug again. Is it? Yeah. Oh, man. This is another one. Um, Rain around, eat dinner for soon. Hey, not a problem, Bird. Welcome back. Uh, we are in some. Where is this from? Is this Dominican still? Yes. We are in some Dominican amber, and we are currently looking at a clown beetle, the family Hysteridae. And what I specifically wanted to bring attention to here is this is another one that you can see these hairs on the antenna. And that's just like so cool to me, and maybe is the coolest thing that's come from this is like you're seeing hairs on a bug that are Dominican Republic. Yeah, but you can still see these hairs on this beetle 10 plus million years later. So, two little pieces go back into the baggie. And then we have another big chunk. So, maybe multiple inclusions. Nope, same thing. Which makes sense. These are the hysterids that live under tree bark with that cylindrical shape, so it's not really that surprising that something that lives under tree bark would be the thing to get fossilized, right? That kind of tracks. People lose their hair before they hit 60. True. Just to give you kind of size reference, this is that last piece that we were just looking into. So that's how big that one was. But that'll wrap up the hysterids for just a second. I have been hitting my Barbasol a little bit hard. I gotta pee. So, let's hit the Lo-Fi Jurassic Park remix. Hit you guys with hit y'all with this for just a second, and I will be back in a few minutes. Get that focused. We're back, chat. Hello, hello. Thank you for the follow, Pirate Chips. Thank you, thank you. Catching up on chat here. Give me 1 second. Thank you, thank you. One thing that I am going to have to do. I'm going to need to plug in my phone. Because, as it turns out, running the flashlight like this, not great for the battery. David Growy, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Happy Halloween. Who's we? Who, what? Who knew? Who knew? Okay. Skirted, Them Nickeds, Ooh. This. There's a couple of other labeled things that have small bits in them, so we're just gonna skip that for the time being. However, it's not the one. This is Dominican now, so that goes in there. We have. Oh, that's horrendous glare. This is a bag of amber, but it is unlabeled with what is in it. So let's see what we can find. Maybe this is mixed, maybe it's not. I didn't call them lame, tortilla. I just said they were small. I don't even think I said that either, but what the hell is this? Well, a couple of cool things, couple of flies. Nice to start there. Oh, come on, y'all. I work on some of this. I mean, not all of them, but I work on some of the smallest damn beetles that there are. We're just going for variety. You know, we'll see. PPL, yeah. Is this the mosquito? I still kind of don't think so. It's closer. It's got the fuzzy antennae, but the piece that's long, that's sticking out, that sort of looks like the proboscis, is an antenna. So unfortunately, still not the mosquito that we're looking for. Well, we're not really on purpose looking for it, but would be cool to find with the Jurassic Park theming and all. But this, oh, very cool. This is a lightning bug, or a firefly, if you will. Midge, yeah, I think Tortilla's right. Why is this? I don't like what this looks like right now. Why is it not amber color? Why is it pink? Yeah, I don't know why it is that color though, because like to me it looks normal. But this is really a nice view that kind of gets you to the. It looks like. Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that like one Breaking Bad opening where the stuff like falls into the pool and it makes the color go up in the pool. That's sort of what it reminds me of. But this is a really neat view. So we are currently looking underneath the insect. Um, this big plate here is the sterna, so like the underside of the midsection. This is all abdomen going back this way, and right here is the head. And the cool thing that you can see there with the head is that there's the shield that goes over top of it. In fireflies, if you look straight down on them, their head is almost completely covered by the pronotum. So you by that little neck piece that we usually see in other beetles. But since we're looking at it the other way, we are seeing the underside of the head, but then we're just kind of seeing this halo effect of the pronotum uh, kind of on the other side of things, which is quite neat. And another thing that you might notice are these wings coming off to the side, or at least the veins that are coming down. Those are the. Let me double check this before I say this. That's a flight wing. That's an elytron. Okay. So this thicker outer rim, the one on the very bottom, is the outside of the elytra, or that front wing that's hardened. All of those other veins that are going straight down next to the body are the flight wings. So those are the ones that are going to be tucked up under the elytra that they actually use to fly with. That's kind of neat. Again, a perspective that we don't usually get on beetles. Let's see if we can flip it over and get anything else from this side. Not really. More bubbles. There's a couple of flies in here, not just that one that we looked at. That's a little tiny fly. Okay. First first one from that box, or from that little baggie, little firefly. That's pretty cool. Now, is this whole thing going to be fireflies? I don't know. That is so dark. That is too light. What the fuck am I supposed to do about that? This is a really dirty piece. Could use a lot of cleaning. Oh, there's a specimen. Okay, this one's pretty hard to see. This might. Oh, that's funny. You guys see that? Oh, it's like super blown out there. Maybe it's coming more into view. Flashbang, it's pretty bright. Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, do you see that arrow? Somebody drew an arrow on the amber to point to where the specimen is. So the beetle that it's actually wanting us to look at is this thing right here. And I think this may be a bag of fireflies that just maybe didn't have the paper in it, because this is another one. It's another firefly, definitely not as clear, but still has the head covering or the pronotum covering the head up there. Uh, so this might just be a bag of lampreyrids. But let's see what else. If we find another one, I'm gonna just guess this is the whole bag. If it's a third firefly this time. It's a fly. He's there. Yep. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and assume this is a whole firefly bag that just kind of missed its label. Do not believe your eyes. Unironically, banger song. Let me find. Let me find a modern example of one that kind of looks like this. You're a lysid. That's not a firefly. Where's the funky shit? Is that a Phausis? No, Turotus. Turotus is weird. Maybe it would be in Phausis. Hmm. Purines. Okay, here's some of the funky shit. This is more similar to what we're looking at in the amber right now. It has shorter antenna. The modern one has shorter antenna than the one we're looking at right now, but this very compact kind of form is there. Chest burrito? No, not on here. Not on Bug Guide. But yeah, another one, very hairy antenna, so you can see a lot of that, which is pretty cool. And the antennae are now going under the body. So you can just see, if I get this little piece into focus, uh, there's a fly on top, so it's kind of combining forces at the moment. But that little piece that juts out and sort of looks like a horn above the head, That is the top of the pronotum, completely covering the head, and then the head has the antennae attached to it. So pretty neat. And like I said, I'm just going to assume that these next couple of pieces will also have fireflies in them as well. Bug jackalope. You guys want to see my real jackalope? This is my jackalope. So I got this at my last job in Arizona. We picked up a taxidermy collection. Don't fucking at Maya in here. That's crazy, J7. Um, at my last job, there was a like big game themed motel that shut down. And so they just had like all of these mounts that were decorating this like little motel room essentially. So they had a ton of deer heads, they had a ton of javelina, which is like a peccary. It's like a pig that's out in Arizona, but it's not actually a pig. Um, they had all of these big sets of bull horns and everything all over the place. And so we got it as a donation. Um, and because there were so many repeats of things, they were like, hey, if any of you guys want to take any of this before we accession it into the collection, like, that's fine. This was the one that I chose. And I love it. It's so good. And it even several like years later after I got this, out in the field, I was like 11 miles down a dirt road in the desert, and I found a little tiny uh, cowboy hat that belonged to like a doll, I'm assuming, and it is the perfect jackalope size. So typically when he's hanging on my wall, uh he's got a little cowboy hat. But yeah, so that's my actual jackalope. I don't know if anybody caught this. You got to be like a real OG to remember this stream. Um, but when we did the first bug hunt, me and Maya, like when we were in Arizona with Allison last summer, someone asked, uh, we were talking about like the mega fauna in Arizona. I was like, yeah, we've got deer, we've got elk, we've got bear. And somebody said jackalopes. And I said, yeah, we've got those. They're all around. You know, those are anywhere that you can find deer and rabbits. You know, hinting at the fact that they're made up amalgamations of things. And I don't know that anybody ever said anything about that on stream. I thought that was funny. But anyway, back to bugs. All right. Another firefly. That's that. That's that. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Bug jackalope fan. Now that's an idea. What would the bug equivalent of a jackalope be? Because I've made what I call Frankenbugs before. Um, for I don't know if you guys, I don't know if you guys would like this or not as a student, but for bonus points on my entomology exams when I was teaching that back in Arizona, I had this whole big word prompt of Dr. Frank N. Stein was working late in the lab one night and accidentally combined a bunch of vials of insect DNA and now made the creature that's in front of you uh, name the body part and like what insect order it comes from. And so what I did was I took like the body of a dragonfly and put earwig pinctures on the back, and then I glued some big katydid eggs to it, or katydid legs, excuse me, to it. So it had those. I put butterfly wings on it. I gave it a bee head. So it was like it was a fun Frankenbug, and they would get points if they could tell me like, oh yeah, that head is from Hymenoptera, the body is Dermaptera, or the body is Odonata or whatever. Oh, don't starve. Hmm. The rabbits in Don't Starve have antennae. They sure do. Look at that. That's cool. I like that one. Longhorn beetle antenna on a ladybug is crazy. I, you know, I just might have some specimens lying around. You never know what'll come up. We got Firefly again. Oh, you're squished. Let's fly. This one's not very nice. Oh, they're supposed to like just be rabbits. They're not like rabbit bug mixes. That's very cool. Huh. You know me, Ophelia. I'm not a big gamer, so I don't know anything about Don't Starve. Fly, fly. Oh, beetle. Okay, very similar to the last one. Uh, I did see that tortilla. Um, I don't know that I would say that I care, but I did see the announcement. Um, are I didn't fully watch it. Are they adding stuff to the Critterpedia? Are there more bugs in the game? If there are more bugs in the game, I could maybe care a little. No? Okay. Well, there's that. I don't think it no more bugs and stuff though. Okay. 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 It's not for me. There's nothing against I have nothing against Animal Crossing in the slightest. It's just not the game for me. Uh but Ophelia, I don't know that you were here when I showed this off, and you asked about Animal Crossing one time, and this is what made me think about this. I have an Evan Animal Crossing thing. A friend of mine painted this for me. So yes, I own this. I have been Animal Crossingified, um, even though I have not played the game. I'm like very well aware of the game. I just do not like maintenance games like that. The fact that I have to like pull weeds and stuff is just it's so frustrating to me. Not my thing at all. Phoenix, what's up? Hello, hello. Artsy friends. Dude, it's a winner. Same friend, and I showed this on this is a while ago that I showed this off, but um same friend did this. My pinning supplies box that she wood burned all these bugs onto for me. So same friend did this that also did the Animal Crossing thing, and she also it's downstairs, so I won't be able to go get it because it's attached to the wall. But got me one of those like uh, natural wood like log cookies that has a bottle opener on it that she hand painted a thing that says Beatles and beer on it. I'll post a picture in the bug cord with that. Just because again it's attached to my wall downstairs, I'm not going to be able to bring it up and show off on stream, but I'll post that. But same friend, same friend. So I've certainly reaped the benefits of having the artsy friend for sure. Because then that's very easy gift giving for her because oh it's a bug thing, just do that for Evan, and then she has the actual artistic ability to go do that. I can't. I was like, oh yeah, if I have an idea like that, I have to get someone else to make it. Confident to get you into modded Minecraft. Ophelia, I love regular Minecraft. I am so into regular Minecraft, but I haven't played in years. Quite several many years. Um Mods fine. I like I like regular Minecraft cuz this is going to be the craziest boomer shit that I've ever said. I remember when they added horses to Minecraft. So like that tells you how long it has been since I played. I know there's like all kinds of crazy shit you can do now. Um, that was not there the last time that I played. So I think that playing regular Minecraft now would almost feel like modded Minecraft to me. Um, but that being said, I bet I could probably get into a buggy Minecraft mod in some way, because that would stick with the theming of the stream at least. Ophelia with 7 million mods. I don't. This is my hot take. I don't think Ophelia likes Minecraft. I think Ophelia likes mods. Ophelia just likes adding mods to a game. I don't need the Minecraft branch to be Ophelia's friend. I think it's a good way to get into it for sure. That's Minecraft is like it's such a peak game. It's so simple and you can go whatever way that you want to go with it. If you want to be like the XP grinder and build like a creeper farm, you can do that. If you want to like explore, you can do that. If you want to find animals, you can do that. So there's a lot to it, and I think you can kind of play Minecraft the way that you want. And that makes it readily approachable for a lot of people. Um, I know I keep saying this, but actual PC soon ish. Um, and when that happens, I would be happy to play Minecraft. It's just the fact that I could run it off of my laptop, but I think that would kind of suck. I just need to suck it up and order the damn thing. Um, I have a parts list that someone put together that I'm just gonna buy that one and it's gonna be fine. Uh, I'll have Logan come over and set my shit up for me, which will be cool because then I get to hang out with Logan, but also computer. But yeah, I just need to suck it up and add everything to cart. Basically, yeah, Bird, exactly. I just need to buy it. Um, and I could. There's nothing stopping me, except that I just spent a shit ton of money on conference stuff. Uh, I'll get paid back for that, but I had to spend it all up front, and that never feels good when the big number or the slightly bigger number, goes down. Rough. Amber Grace 2406. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. And happy Halloween. Ooh. Goodies in this one. Amber. So since it is Halloween, I have my Dennis Nedry Jurassic Park costume on. Um, and I consider Jurassic Park a bug movie because none of the rest of the movie would have happened without the amber mosquito. So I have amber specimens here. These are all at least 10 million year old pieces of amber from right now. I think we're in the Dominican Republic that I borrowed from work. So we're just looking at stuff. This most recent bag here that we pulled out of stuff has had a lot of fireflies in it. So that's what this is on here right now. So that's a firefly stuck in there. What's amber? Amber are these little rock pieces. It is fossilized tree sap and tree resin. And I realize I'm explaining Amber to a person named Amber. That's very fun. But it's fossilized tree resin, and inside of here, insects could have gotten stuck like many millions of years ago. And so they're called inclusions. The specimens inside of the fossil is called an inclusion, and we're just looking to see what we find. A couple of them have been labeled as like what's in them, but we have also found like a couple of extra specimens and stuff, which has been really cool. So we're just kind of taking a peek, seeing what's up with that. And again, this all stems off of the Jurassic Park start of this, uh, tying the costume into the stream here. But Coraline is a spider movie, absolutely, 100%. Another excellent movie. There's also uh, there's also silverfish in that movie. Back in the back in the day, I used to run a Twitter account that was called Bugs on the Big Screen, and it was a few of my friends and I that all had access to it, that we would tweet and talk about and post bugs in like non-bug media. So like uh Bug's life would be too obvious of a thing, but there were silverfish in Coraline that we talked about one time. Bug's life. That's also good. Yes, I agree. But that was too bug focused for what the plan of this was. We were looking for bugs as background characters in other things. Um Another big one that we talked about, there was that whole episode of Breaking Bad that had the fly. That was like the super focus of that. Um at the beginning of Fargo, which is a movie that I like a lot, they're talking about bark beetles infesting, which is actually very accurate for the forests up around Fargo, except that the beetle that they use at the beginning is a ground beetle and not a bark beetle. So I think that's probably actually the most famous representation of ground beetles in anything, because nobody cares about ground beetles except for me. Another firefly. Yes. A bit dirty there. Another wasp. Who is that? Huh. Jesus Christ, what's this? Oh, that's cute, Ophelia. When is the silverfish in Coraline? That's actually a really good question. I don't remember. The bathroom scene makes sense. Oh, the one copy pasta that's like, I'm leaving this chat because all I ever do people are post links. I can find that one quick, I think. Copy pasta links. That's the one. Yeah, I know that's the one you want, Phoenix, but I actually don't know. I don't know how to search in a specific channel for. Oh, they pinned. Okay, there it is. Here it is. I got it. I got it. Someone else probably beat me to it, but I got it. There you go. And like posting a link like that, Ophelia, honestly, I wouldn't click it either if it wasn't from you. Okay, yep, another firefly, but down here, there's a itty bitty little parasitic wasp. So this one, we're already maxed out on Zoom, so that's about as much as we're getting there. Parasitic wasp, heart of things. This is something like a pteromalid or a eulophid, something like that. But you can see four wings. You can see the four wings. You can kind of see the snatched waist, and the antennae are folded under. But this thing is, that's like pretty easily a sub-millimeter. So very, very, very tiny. Texas, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Happy Halloween. Night Space Camp. Any anybody got the how are the Blue Jays doing right now? But yeah, see you, Phoenix. Have a nice night. Give Gigi a kiss. Ah, shit. Phoenix, because I don't want the Dodgers to win. That's why. 3-1 Dodgers, where are we in the game? Are we like fifth? Okay. They got time. They got time. About 5. Thank you. Thank you all. Pull out. Hammer-ups. Okay. Okay. Cyanids. Interesting. Unusual families. Interesting. Multiple Hymenoptera families. For comets. That'll be a fun one. Certids. Thylids. Crazy. Okay. We are almost 3 hours into this chat, so we've been here for a hot second. I have a ton of stuff that I brought home, like being optimistic that we were going to get through it. We're certainly not. Um, so I picked out a bag that said Hymenoptera on it since we hadn't had any specific wasp ones before. I'm going to do a couple of these, and then we have the big copal chunk that we can take a look at. I haven't checked this under the microscope, but there's some really neat stuff that you can actually see without the scope. And then I have a very special finale piece. How does amber form? So it's tree sap amber. It it's tree sap that just ends up hardening and then gets under the right conditions where weather isn't affecting it anymore. Tree will fall down and it'll just form around with the rocks. But over time, the tree sap will just harden into different things. This one is actually a chunk of what is called copal, which I explained at the beginning, but happy to do it again. Copal is basically amber that's not ripe yet. And that sounds silly to say, but copal can be anywhere from like a couple of 100 years old all the way up to like 9 million years old. The consensus for cutoff for like what is amber versus copal, uh, from my understanding, was about 10 million years. So if it's younger than 10 million years, it is technically copal. But this piece is pretty well formed. Some of the issues with copal versus amber is that it's like more brittle and will chunk and flake and crumble a little bit easier. But this is obviously like a huge chunk that is all still intact. So this one was labeled as copal. This is from Panama, which is not one of the typical sites of actual amber chunks. Um, Everything else that we've looked at has come out of baggies that were labeled amber. And so the guy who donated all of this stuff to the museum that I work at was in the business of like selling these inclusions and selling these pieces of amber that had specimens in them. So I am assuming that he was somehow vetting how old they were and where they were coming from to be able to categorize some of them as copal and some of them as amber. But truthfully, I don't know. I haven't done a ton of work with this. I just thought it would be a fun themed stream for the holiday. Night, J7. Have a nice night. Hope you had a good time. We'll see ya. We'll see you at the next one. This is a big chunk for maybe not that big of a bug. Let's see. Is that it? That's it. That's horrible. We're gonna try big light real quick. That wasn't helpful. Uh, I don't think it's. I don't think it's any worse than like other rocks. I don't think it's good for you, but I don't think it's any worse. Ooh. Bracana there, but that's a cool fly. I think that's cooler than the thing that this was labeled for. Happy Halloween, Bird. Have a nice night. Thanks for hanging out, man. All right. So, this is not what this was labeled for. Oh, maybe it is. Yeah, it is. I lied. I'm just stupid. This is another wasp inclusion. So this is Hymenoptera. Night little riff. See y'all later. So that's what this was marked for. This is another parasitic wasp. This is a braconid. So if you guys have ever seen those little white cocoons that are on hornworms, like the moth caterpillars that have those little white cocoons on it, those are the pupae of a braconid. So the wasp will lay its egg in the caterpillar. Once the larva has done feeding inside of the larva, it will then come out and spin that little cocoon. So this is another type of parasitic wasp that will actually feed or will actually parasitize other insects. Is this a specialized microscope? Not really, Amber. Um, it's it's one that is sold for soldering, like for doing like small electrical work and things like that under it. It came with a bunch of attachments that like I don't need for what I'm doing right now. But the reason that I got this model is because it had the camera. Obviously, I needed the camera to stream. Um, and for what it is, it's really good. Um, it it sounds like a lot when it's kind of expensive. This thing was $400, but for the quality you get from it and the ability to stream, totally worth it to me. Just for like casual, if you wanted to start maybe looking at stuff, it's a little bit up there. But compared to like the other microscope that I have here that is worth like $8,000 to $10,000, this is not that specialized. Um, and for viewing the amber, it's certainly not made for that. It has an upper light, so you can usually see things top down. But a lot of what we're doing right now is transmitted light, so light coming from the bottom up. And the way that we're doing that is with my cell phone. So I have my flashlight on, it is illuminating the specimen from the bottom up. And that's mostly what we're seeing right now over on the other thing. Uh, but when we're doing the regular bug streams, which, normal Mondays, normal Wednesdays, and whatnot, we're typically looking at regular insect specimens, so like things on pins. So we use the top-down light a lot more than we use the underside. So this is my first time ever doing one like this. We're just trying it out, see how it goes. Used one on eBay. Yeah, Glacial. I saw that. I saw some of the pictures that you posted. Very sick. If you can get the camera, or if you can get the scope used like that, you can learn very quickly to take pictures through the microscope to show off the stuff that you're looking at. So Definitely a good investment, and I think that you can get models that are made by this company, like who made the one that I have now, uh, for like 150 bucks, but they're a little bit more bare bones, and obviously don't have the camera. So buying buying this new scope setup with the camera was cheaper than buying the camera designed for my more expensive microscope. So that's why I went this way in case it didn't work out. If I didn't really like the streaming thing, uh, I wouldn't feel like I was out that much money, you know? So definitely worthwhile purchase for me to do this specifically. But even if you do have that like passing casual interest, you can definitely find used microscopes on eBay or Facebook Marketplace, especially if you live like in a university town. You can often find microscopes available. Um, it is a really well-known brand, Glacial. It also has it goes up to 80x. So this is at 50. Well, this is at 20 right now, but this scope here will do uh 50 times magnification, and the one that I have will do 80. The optic quality is better, and using it for a long time and using it to try to identify really really small stuff, I definitely see the difference. But for sorting, like if I have a big sample of a bunch of stuff in it and I'm trying to pull out like the beetles that I want specifically, honestly, kind of prefer the one that we're streaming on right now. It has like a bigger field of view, so I can see and like pull more stuff out a little bit easier. So each one has its pros and cons. The other one is definitely more high quality and geared more towards uh, specific like taxonomic identification and like needing to see really really small structures. This one is great for sorting and for demonstrations. Is really where I found out about this. We did a I teach a beetle course down in Arizona, so it's all beetle families, and we do dissections while we're there to like get extract genitalia, look at some of these internal structures. And one of my friends who was leading the dissections actually had this microscope, and so that's where I first found out about it. I played around with it. We did the uh, demonstrations with it, and I went, well, I'm buying that as soon as I get home. Because I did want to get into the streaming side of things, but also because it was like a little bit cheaper and slightly different use case than the other scope that I have. But this one has kind of become my primary scope because a lot of the time when I am doing the more in-depth IDs, I can take that stuff to work. So I have the other one here, but since this one's already set up and everything, uh, why not just use this one if I can get away with it? I don't know why sometimes it becomes clear and almost looks like normal colored. Because this piece is still amber. Like it's still that golden color that you expect. But for whatever reason, the way that this light is hitting it right now, it's making it look like it's clear. Yeah, the white balance is really doing a lot of work here that I kind of don't want it to be doing, but it is what it is. It's yellow if we zoom out. Um, so yeah, like that's the actual color. But if we go in, yeah, so this is another Burconid, another parasitic wasp. That long antenna is pretty characteristic of this group. Um, if you're parasitic, you have to locate the thing that you are trying to parasitize. And as we know, the antenna is the way that insects sense their world. So a lot of parasitic insects, or parasitic wasps in particular, will have long antenna because it means they're able to pick up those chemical cues of whatever specific host organism that they're looking for. The wing veins and everything on this one are a little bit hidden. I don't know that we're going to be able to get any more resolution on that, but we still have a couple more here. I'm hoping there's one where we can see the wing veins because Braconids have a very characteristic wing system. Uh, and so I would like to be able to show that to you, but I don't know if any of these. This one's cracked. This is not. This was not the best piece. Um, there. Little tiny piece, so I don't won't see anything in this one. There it is. Oh, that wasn't it. Oh, just the head. Okay. Well, that's also not the right piece. We're gonna find a good one. I hope. I only have two more. I have two more shots. So, are your wings available? Sort of. I don't think they are to the level that I need them to be to show off the wing venation, but a pretty cool view. We have the ancient Straussii chat, or ovipositor for those of you not chat's brain rotted. Um, um, okay, so that didn't super help focus it, but yeah, so this piece here that is coming out right behind the leg, that like rather straight piece, is the ancient Straussii. So right here, lined up with my pin right now, is the ovipositor. So again, this is a parasitic wasp, and the ovipositor is the egg-laying tube of the insect. And in wasps, and parasitic wasps in particular, they use it to place the egg in whatever organism it is that they're parasitizing. Braconids oftentimes will go for caterpillars. So a lot of the time you will see these laying eggs and like stinging caterpillars, but what they're really doing is depositing eggs inside of that caterpillar. And so they're using that ovipositor to do that because ovipositor means like egg positioner, essentially. Ova is egg, positor is positioner, more or less. So they'll use that to insert the eggs into the caterpillar or whatever it is that they're parasitizing. The larvae will hatch. The larvae will eat inside of whatever it is, again, that they parasitized. And then they will usually pop out, make a little cocoon, and then uh, repeat the cycle. But pretty cool view of the ovipositor there. Not one that we had seen before. And then last little piece here in the braconids. So we'll see if there's... Ooh, this is gorgeous. And the wings are broken, so I can't show you what I wanted to show you. What a bummer. Something you can see, though, which is still pretty cool. If we bring it over here, up on the light. Butter in a Thanksgiving turkey, that's funny. So we're looking at the back of the head right now. That's an air bubble next to it. That's not a crazy straw. But do you guys see that like little white dot at the back of the head? It's a little bit clear. That's the ocelli. So those like simple eyes that insects have that sort of help just detect light versus dark. They're not the big complex compound eyes. That's what that is on the top of the head there. That white spot that's clearer than the rest. I don't know if I can. We're zoomed all the way, so that's not going to help. Not too far. A little bit back. Oh, Tortilla, it's raining? What? Um, yeah, they do glacial. They still can, but the way that I understand them to work is that the optic centers for the compound eyes are busy taking in all of the other information. Um, so like outlines of plants and trees and like seeing stuff. The simple eyes are remnants of like the olden days where if there's something dark above you, it's a predator that's going to come and eat you. So it helps them kind of have this innate thing. If something goes over them, they're going to get the hell out of there just in case it's a predator. And then they can use their regular eyes to see like meaningful stuff. Um, they do more than that. In some places, they're a little bit more complex than others, but yeah, exactly. And not all insects have them. A lot of beetles have lost their ocelli. Um, some of them will have just like a singular median ocellus, so like one dot in the middle of the head. But wasps and cicadas and a lot of other things will still have the set of three. Um, and truthfully, I don't I don't fully understand how they work. But from my understanding, yes, the primal thing is what my understanding of them was. Uh, Lizards have them too. Yes, some of them do. Some of them do, Ophelia. But that's pretty nifty. Okay. Let's talk about Copal now. So I think we're okay there on Hymenoptera for a bit. We got a lot of stuff. We have another bag of beetles, a whole other bag of beetles that we could go through, but not tonight. It's 10 p.m. I'm sleepy. But we will still look at a couple of other things just before we go. I don't know how well the giant chunk of copal is going to work. We can see what we can see from the outside bits. Flashbang, I'm sorry. But there's a lot of stuff in here, and a lot of it we can just see from the surface. Maybe we can. Maybe we can. Ah, shit. It's too tall. Okay, that kind of works. This is a moth. Little tiny moth stuck in the amber. That's a termite below it. So that darker spot on the bottom, or that longer guy on the bottom, that's coming into focus now, is a termite. But then up here, towards the top right of the screen, is a little tiny moth. So this must have just been like a massive sap flow. Obviously, to get something this large, there has to be a lot of sap. But sap and resin like this is a really good resource for a lot of insects. So it's not that surprising that a lot of them kind of flocked to it like this and then got stuck. So back here. And a lot of these things make sense of them being like on or associated with trees and plants. That's kind of wild. So what we're looking at here is a bark beetle. And if we just get it slightly more in focus there, you may notice that you can see down into the bark beetle. And so what happened there is that somebody was sanding this to make it nice and shiny like it is. And they ground through the elytra on this guy. So we're able to actually see into the back of that bark beetle, which is pretty neat. Right there. That's the money shot. Here's another bark beetle that is below. That's below the surface level of the copal. And this one appears to be moldy. So those look like mold fibers or fungal fibers to me. And bark beetles are pretty well known for traveling around with their fungus, meaning that they'll take it and specifically try to take it from tree to tree because that's what they feed on. So I don't know if he died and then got absorbed or what the situation there was. Where is that anthrobid? This guy here, very, very cool. Where's my goop? Here's my goop. So this is an anthribid, which is a fungus weevil. Pretty neat family that we don't see very often and that we haven't gotten to in pre-chat chats yet. But even though this is related to weevils, you'll notice it doesn't have the super long snout and it doesn't have the elbowed antennae. So these are going to have straight antenna, relatively short snout most of the time. Um, and the males of some of these will have like super long antennae, like longhorn beetle level of long. Uh, so that's pretty neat. Um, there's just like all kinds of stuff in here. Like like I said, there are hundreds of inclusions in this. Let me. I don't think this is going to work super well because it's just like so much. But there's some pretty cool views. So there's a fly kind of on the bottom right. There's a bunch of big wings in there. Those are attached to. Shit, that looks like a scorpion fly. A bunch more little beetles. Oh, that's as high as my zoom will go. That's the other problem with this is that the currently the scope is maxing out going up. I can't get it to go any higher, so we can't focus any higher. But I kind of would like it to for this piece. Oh, there it is. Okay. This is a regular weevil. So this one does have those bent elbowed antennae. Right on the edge. Someone could definitely sand this one away on accident if they weren't careful, because that's right up close to the edge. Um, yeah, Ophelia, it's it is interesting to think about that, but then you also have to think about the fact that there are so many cool things that are alive today that weren't here millions of years ago, and then you can get excited again. Um, but yeah, it's remarkable how similar all of these ancient ones are to shit that's around today. Like this is just an ant. This is just like a regular ass sidewalk ant. But then on the other hand, with that, this is the copal. So this is the one that's not quite as old. I don't know if it was aged at any point, so I don't know if we know how old this one was. Um, but this could be as young as like a couple hundred years. So it's possible that there's stuff in here that we would recognize and that is like the same as the stuff that we have today. But it's also possible that it's way, way older and we're looking at, the common ancestors of some of the species that are alive today, like before they split. So without properly dating this, it's very hard. It'll be hard to know that either way. Um, but yeah, man, this is just so impressive. There are hundreds of inclusions in this one, which is kind of remarkable. And it's like not 100 of the same thing either. It's a ton of different groups, including this is our first. We had a mite earlier, but this is our first spider proper. Up there on the top, kind of looks like a beetle underneath it. But there's spiders, there's parasitic wasps, there's like 6 different families of beetles that I've seen. There was that scorpion fly, I think, is what that was. Um, Bark beetles of all kinds of different persuasions. There's a scarab. There's our sidewalk guy. Um, this is just like a really remarkable piece of here's another spider. This is just a really remarkable piece of material. There's tons and tons of shit. Whoa, Trigocidid? That's fire. Yeah, so that spider there. And then right above it, there is this really wacky elongate beetle. That's a Trogocidid, which is a bark gnawing beetle. We haven't covered that in pre-chat chats yet, but that's there. Really crazy wasp legs. It's another moth. There's just this is crazy. There is so much stuff in here. Remarkably impressive. However, for our piece de resistance, we have the special gold box. Obviously, if something is in a gold shiny box like this, it's going to be pretty cool. Which is why, when I saw this special box, I went, well, I need to figure out what's in there. And boy, howdy, is it worth it. This is a very, very cool chunk. It looks like copal, so it looks like it could have come off of that other chunk, maybe even. But another relatively big piece. But there is the biggest inclusion that I have ever seen in any amber or anything like this. Right here. Don't know how well it's going to translate because this one needs to be. You can. I would be willing to bet that you can see this just on the face cam. This is a whole cicada. So if we actually just switch over, I'm gonna try the face cam first. Like, look how big that is. It's right up here, kind of in the middle. Yes, my influencer hand with my billion-year-old bug. But yeah, this thing is crazy. That cicada is like at least an inch long. You get pretty decent views of it from both sides. This side's a little bit more cracked, so it's a little bit harder to get. Um, it is kind of small for a cicada, but it is pretty large for stuff that got stuck in amber. 3 a.m. Lily, that's crazy. But thank you for hanging out so late. Uh, Hope you had fun. We'll see you next time. Happy Halloween. And have a good sleep. Yeah, this top-down view kind of looks like it might work better for this one. Oops. I did not. Oopsies. Let's cut that back, make me a little bit smaller. There we go. What do you mean they say they exist? Have you never seen a cicada tortilla? I know they do have them in the Pacific Northwest, but they are a lot smaller than elsewhere, and they're not quite as uh, loud and obnoxious up there either. So that's possible, but I do remember this now because I sent you a couple, right? I sent you some cicadas to work with. I do. Ooh, look at him. That's really neat. That's so this. Look at this. I'm honestly more impressed by this than I am with the cicada, I think. Look at this little leaf hopper. He's got color. That's crazy. He's so close to the top, which is such a bummer because if I could buff this out and get like a nice clear window onto this guy, it would be so cool. Cuz like yeah, it you can very clearly see pigment on this one. Like yeah, it does look like he could just hop away if he wanted. Um that's phenomenal. That's so cool. Wow. Yeah, I like I said, I'm almost more impressed by this than I am with the giant cicada. Um, but there is other stuff that's ground down in here. On this side, there was another beetle that is been been gone into. You're seeing the inside of a fossilized beetle right now. Crazy. Crazy, 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 crazy. Can't imagine how much it's worth. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't bringing them up on purpose, but like that the very very first piece of amber that we looked at that had that one little fly in it, this piece, this is labeled for $30. And that's just like that one little fly in there. All of the rest of this stuff, that have had bigger inclusions, rarer families, stuff like that, like um it's a lot, and it's the reason why I said that I felt like the Louvre heist walking out of there yesterday. Um because it is worth a tremendous amount of money. Historical value, obviously incredibly important as well, but like goddamn. But yeah, so this was the last piece that I wanted to bring out because the cicada on its own was pretty phenomenal. Being as large as it is, I think we should probably be able to buff out some of these cracks up top to be able to get a nice window into the cicada. But that little leaf hopper, man, I am just floored by that. He's got his colors. He's had his colors for like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. And he's still got them. Yeah, me too, Ophelia. Me too. I'll oh, I guess I can do it now because it's not on my phone at the moment. Um it's down below the cracks. Let's see if I can get a picture. If this picture turns out okay, I'll definitely post it on the bug cord because this is quite cool. I'll mess around with the focus and everything after stream. Um, but yeah, what a cool one to end it on. Like, look at that thing. Crazy, crazy. All right, y'all. I think I'm going to call it there. Nice long stream tonight, but we covered a lot of really cool stuff. That was super fun for me because, again, like I said, I sort of picked at random getting this stuff, and we have 3 6-foot tall cabinets that are just full of this stuff. I can't imagine going through all of it. Um, the stuff that we would find in there would be insane. And even just the stuff that we pulled that was kind of random ended up having some pretty insane stuff in it too. So very, very, very cool. Um, Thanks for hanging out. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Seemed like it went pretty well. And I'm glad we got the light situation figured out. I'm glad we actually got to see stuff. Um, but yeah, thanks for chilling here for so long. This is, I think, no, maybe my pin haul was longer, but pretty long stream. Uh, I am going to send you to Alveus so you guys can see the animals. Just in about half an hour, they'll probably run rounds so we can check everything off before we go to bed. But thanks again, everyone. Have a nice night. Happy Halloween. I will see you back on Monday. Unless I do a weekend stream, maybe. We'll see. Since we still have other other Amber to go through. But we'll plan for Monday for now. If you see the live notification, that's cool. Uh, but sending you guys to Alveus. Have a excellent night. Stay safe. Make good choices. I will talk to you all next week. Bye now.